what stuck out to me was you said the word imposter syndrome. That's not the word that that's not a word that just everybody knows. Usually people who know the word imposter syndrome have like read or done self-development stuff. Can you talk to a little bit if you've done any of that kind of thing?
Oh yeah. So, I mean, I love, personal development books and audios and podcasts and things like that. And I'm really into, health, both fitness and mental health wise, because it's always been a journey for me, especially from a physical health aspect. Like, I think that back in the day, I always wanted like a quick fix of like, I want to look like that girl in the magazine, or I want to do this. And it's really connected to everything that I'm doing today of like, hey, I'm talking about how we need to be patient, be consistent with our change, but then I want instant gratification when it comes to like fitness life. And it's like, that's not reality. So I've done a lot of work on myself, and just like, if we focus on our mind and we focus on, fueling ourselves with things that are going to bring us value, but also help us kind of check ourselves in the mirror, that's where I'm going to see change. And it literally is like linear to what we are expecting owners to do with their dogs is, you need to check yourself every day and be consistent. And that's when you're going to see the lasting change. And every time I put that into action for anything in my life, whether it's health and fitness, my business, my relationships, it always holds true. And so, there's books by Glennon Doyle, Oprah's podcasts and videos that it's just like, they're speaking things that it's like, some days I'll listen to it and I'm like, this is just such like, like, okay, like you're telling me just believe it.
Right.
And like, put it out there. But then once you start practicing those things in tandem with hard work, it's like.
In tandem with hard work.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My mom,
that's where it's like,
my mom, I love her so much, but my mom was that positive thinker with no follow through. So it's, she had lots of certificates, but no practices. And I love my mom for it, but no, it totally has to be in tandem with hard work. That's the whole, the whole, I didn't know it was called The Secret, that people would be like, oh, like The Secret, you know what I'm talking about?
The
like
book, The Secret. Yeah.
The book, The Secret.
I listened to it.
Yeah. I didn't listen to it, but someone said it's like that. Cause I was telling them kind of my belief process, and I've always been a, what's it called? Not a mimicker, not a copier, like if I see you do something, I'm going to go do it just to see if I could do it. So like being the youngest of four, my sister was a singer. Then I became a singer. Then I would sing like in my room, like, my brother played piano. So then when he was gone, I'd go play the piano. And then same thing I would just mimic a lot.
You would
of things.
emulate people you look up to.
Yeah. I would model things. And so that just kind of gave me this knack for learning stuff really, really quick. And so what I would do is I would see myself doing the things that they're doing, because literally I would just swap my body for their body and I would just be doing it. And someone goes, that's manifesting. And I'm like, is that manifesting? Because I just wanted to do it. You know what I mean? But you see yourself doing something and then you execute, you take all the steps necessary to execute that goal. And I think that's really cool.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And that's how I think it kind of turned into like the concept of imposter syndrome and things like that is, there's so much different stuff where it's like, toxic positivity, and then like actually like people, even just from, I obviously follow a lot of women and stuff like that, the body positive movement and stuff like that, where it's like, at the end of the day, like, I feel like there's always this same constant, and like that is hard work. And even though like, it would be great to be able to just manifest these things, but then not take the steps. I was like, okay, if I keep working really, really hard, like those other things that are like, you can't do this, someone else is already doing that, why are you trying, will go away, because it's like, I'm implementing the things that I think I can bring value to the table, and I'm consistent with it, and I'm true to myself. And it's like, if that's manifesting, and I'm going to manifest all day.
I think, it's funny because it feels like it just boils down to bravery, because the funny thing, like you were bringing up physical fitness, right? And I always love talking, not so much to clients, but more in terms of like my staff, like newer trainers who are trying to, figure their stuff out. And I have a trainer, a training assistant right now who I told her to start building her like Instagram follow, because she too was like real shy about it and stuff like that. And I like to use the example of physical fitness because everybody knows how, but some people just don't, even if they want to. But I think maybe it's just one of those things, where if I try, then that gives me the probability or the possibility I can fail. So I'd rather just not try. That way I can't fail. But it's fascinating how when it comes to things like making online videos, learning how to train dogs, learning how to develop confidence as a person, it's that same straightforward process of like, we'll just do the things that help you get better at that. But people lose that correlation.
Yeah. And I think another thing about it too is like, and this is kind of going off what you're kind of saying a little bit, is I feel like there's that fear of doing things, of course, and the hard, like it getting hard kicks in, but then there's also that fine line between like the mentality of like grind that I think is also toxic. So it's like, where does a person find that fine line between not completely burning themselves out, but also putting in consistent hard work? And I feel like that's where a lot of trainers today, at least based on like the shadow programs that I had, I do a bunch of owner and trainer virtual coaching sessions where I feel like sometimes I'm their therapist and like we're just talking through things. And it's like, that's what I'm hearing time and time again, is like, I'm burnt out, so I don't have time to do the social media side. Or I want to build my following, but I'm afraid that I'm just going to post things that everyone's already posting. And it's like, yeah, you will, but bring yourself through. Like, yeah, we could all talk about the place command 100 times. And at the end of the day, even if we all do things a little different,
the
like goal is to teach a dog to lay on a bed. So
and taxis were already a thing when Uber came out.
Fall into that imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Do you remember when we were interviewing Blake Rodriguez, we looked up, what was it, how to make a sandwich, or we looked up how to tie your shoe?
Oh, yeah,
on YouTube.
I saw that one.
Yeah, we looked up how to tie your shoe on YouTube, and it had like 4.3 million views. It's something as simple as how to tie your shoe. People want to hear that. People want to see it. 4.3 million people want to see it. So teaching a sit command, a down command, a place command, whatever.
Even like how to hold a leash. Like we all can do it a little bit differently, but like that's what I try to give people ideas on. It's like, well, I don't know what to post. Well, let's talk through a list of quick little videos you could do. How to hold a leash, how to hold your food when you're giving it to a puppy, like where your treat pouch could go, like these little things, like they're going to bring value.
Well, see, that kind of brings me into, I understand it's not done yet. So I want to be clear with the listeners that you have your e-courses coming out in the next couple months here, right? Working title to come, right? So can you talk to us a little bit about what inspired that? Was it just this, you realizing people needed help with even simpler things that maybe other trainers don't think are worth making videos about?
Actually, it's quite different from that. Okay. So my e-course, the goal for that is because I share so many free videos on how to do things where it's like, I want people to still have that. So go to this, and this is how you can teach place. This is how you can teach sit, whatever it may be. But I wanted for those trainers, like thing that I consistently say is helping you and your dogs live your best lives together. So when I started doing a lot of, I use the tone function on the e-collar a lot. I do a lot of like shush work and boundary setting with dogs. That's a little bit more like, it's not a command and it's not a marker. So it's the owners that are like, when I wrote out my layout of how I wanted to record this, I literally put it as like, these are my latte sipping, women empowered dog owners that like want to take their relationship to the next level because they're already working their ass off with their dog. Like this dog already knows things, but like how do we take the state of mind to the next level? And that's what this e-course really is. I also have about 6 videos of literally just talking about how to set boundaries with people. And that's where I notice time and time again, people struggle is like, how do I talk to my partner that's not supportive? How do I talk to the family member that thinks I should put my dog down? Like, and I get really vulnerable in those because these are all things I've been through. So that's really what this e-course is yes, we do lots of like, how do I teach my follow? How do I teach my heel? How do I teach my recall? But like, how do we work through stuff in place where it's like, state of mind stuff versus just a dog sitting there like, I'm doing the command. And then how do we grow as people, as a dog owner is really what this is going to be for people.
Okay.
I love that so much. There's, the last couple of years, there's been this huge movement for like advocating for dogs. And in essence, it's kind of like teaching dog owners this tools to control the environment around them. That's not their dog. You know what I mean? And giving people the permission to be like, hey, I hear your opinion, or I know you want to pet my dog, or I know you want, but like, and that's what it sounds like you're working on, of like giving people the tools to empower them so that they can provide a good environment for their dog to be successful.
Right.
So that's amazing. That's great.
Thanks. Yeah, because usually the day-to-day life, like just your dog in your home, is not the challenging stuff.
Yeah.
It's when world has to go on around them.
Right.
And that's why we hear, I'm sure you guys hear this all the time, my dog is great, but when Susie comes over, they're not.
Right.
It's
exactly.
like, okay, well, let's address our dog, but also address Susie.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. And really it's about, you see this pendulum swing where, in the 80s, it was all about the dog. The dog is bad. The dog is this. And then Caesar came, and now it's like the owner is bad. The owner is this. And it's starting to swing the other way. People are blaming the dog again, and how can we control the dog? And that was a big distinction that we made with our force-free trainers, where we said balance trainers want to control the dog versus force-free trainers want to control the environment around the dog. And now what we start seeing is this blending of, let's control the environment.
They need to be blended.
Well, they need to be blended,
Yeah.
and we want to control the environment as much as possible. And I think it's super, super valuable, and it's just crazy to see this paradigm developing. And I love the fact that you focus so much on the human experience and the owner's experience to make it better. And that's something that I think is a skill every dog trainer should work on. They're human skills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's kind of what, like, both my puppy ebook and my Canine graduate handbook, because obviously the puppy is very like puppy, but it's also very like, hey, owners, you're bringing home a baby. Like, this isn't a adult dog that like is going to learn things as quickly. So it's like, I talk a ton in it about how to raise your puppy, not how to train him. Like, that's where I really focus on that. And I even have in there like, all right, put my tough love Kate hat on again. Like, yeah, your 8-week-old puppy is going to cry in the crate when you bring them home. Like, the people that I talk to quite often is like, oh, what do I do about my 11-week-old puppy doing this? And that's where it's like, okay, I'm going to come from a place of education first, because I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that it's maybe your first time, maybe you've only found certain resources that's like, this is making it seem uncommon. But also, like, let's look at the big picture here. You're bringing home a baby that's clearly
doesn't know anything.
Right.
Yes. And then my Canine graduate handbook is definitely much more it's the handbook that I now send to all of my owners after they graduate my board and train programs.
I love that.
But I put so much value into it that I think that anyone that's like working with their dog at home or has maybe already gone to another board and train will find value in, because I talk so much about the conceptual things and like the frequently asked questions of, is my dog actually sad on place when they look sad? Like, things that it's like pulling at human emotions, because I get that's where humans are coming from.
Right.
Yes.
We can't just be like, well, here's how dogs learn. That is important. Like, they should have an understanding of that. Yeah. But if we start talking about the 4 quadrants, and you're losing them. You're losing the owner.
Yep.
So it's like, how can I speak to them that's going to benefit the owner? But at the end of the day, we're also looking, how can we benefit the dog the best? And that's truly what this ebook is like, how can I get through to the owner, connect with them, so that they can live their best lives with their dogs. Think, like, that's at the end of the day.
Did your previous experience in marketing help with that sort of thing? Because I think all trainers struggle with that. Like, how in depth are they supposed to get without going too far?
I think it might have, just because that's kind of always how my brain has worked. Is who are we speaking to? Like, that's always been the thing.
Right.
But it was literally what I needed that many years ago, and I could never find. I did find a lot of like, okay, we're focusing on the owner, but we're shaming the owner, and it's like that's not helping. Like, but then there was also too much coddling of the owner as well, where I'm like, that's not helping like, either. How can I speak to Kate, who was struggling 7 years ago? Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I know. And the more and more I do that, the more I get people that are like, thank you so much for just sharing your story.
Yes.
And
helping people feel that they're not alone. That's the big thing.
Exactly.
It makes people feel alone.